scheduled for 6 rounds of professional boxing at the light heavyweight division. Calling first to the stage, finding out the blue corner, Don Parueang. While coming into the ring, Timur Bassitov. Introducing to you first, fighting at the blue corner, wearing yellow with white trim, with a professional boxing record of 14 victories and 6 losses with no bouts even. Representing Thailand, please give it up for Don Parueang. And his opponent, wearing black with white trim, with a professional boxing record of 2 victories and no losses. Representing Kazakhstan, ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for Timur Bassitov. And your referee in charge of the action once it begins, Ajahn Chris Sanyade. The 3 judges scoring ringside, Ajahn Thanakorn Kantong, Ajahn Pipasti Sene, and Mr. Carlos Costa.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we swiftly move on with the fight card. We go into fight number 7. This is in the light heavyweight division, and it'll be fought over 6 rounds. In the red corner, we've got Timur Bassitov, who is undefeated as a pro, 2 fights on his record, 2 victories, no defeats, no draws. And in the blue corner, we've got Don Parueang from Thailand, a veteran of 30 professional fights. Okay, so in the black, you've got Bassitov, and in the gold trunks, you've got Don Parueang.
I mean, Don Parueang's just already taken some huge shots in this opening round. Bassitov starting very strong. I saw him warming up just outside maybe about 10 minutes ago. He was on the balcony warming up, doing some pad work. But you can look at the size difference here, but the experience difference here is the main key here. Don Parueang, a very experienced boxer as well. Big right hand downstairs.
You see, I was saying earlier, Jimmy, that it's almost like when you're the shorter fighter, you've got to go through a bad neighborhood. I tell you, Atlas would say you've got to try and get in on the inside. What's the best way to get in on the inside if you're Don Parueang? I
mean, getting on the inside is one of those things where it's that classic thing of like, just stand up in MMA, where people say, just get on the inside. We know it's what you need to do, but it's how you get there. And like you said, going through a bad neighborhood of getting hit on the way in. I mean, you've got to create explosions and levels to it. So basically, you make yourself even shorter on the outside, make it harder for your opponent to hit you, but when you're ready to explode, you really explode with it. But there are going to be times where you take 2 to give a good one sometimes.
Yeah, it's always a tough task. A tall order, if you would say, don't pardon the pun, when you take on a taller fighter. But I mean, Bassitov really wants to keep this fight the complete opposite, doesn't he, on the outside with his jab.
I mean, Don's doing a great thing here where he charges in with that overhand right, because he kind of gets more leverage on the overhand right when he charges in, and there it is again. This is the shot that he wants to keep throwing, but after a while, the overhand right becomes very easy to read, and it's a very easy punch to block as well if you know what you're doing. So Bassitov, to me, has already been shown the capabilities of Don Parueang. He's a shorter fighter with a sledgehammer right hand. All he has to do is smother that right hand and then just jab his way to victory. And we see a beautiful check left hook followed up by a jab by Bassitov as well. I mean, a man from Kazakhstan should be jabbing, should be using the left hook and using that Soviet-style boxing.
Okay, we got less than a minute to go in the first round. Overhand right there from Don Parueang. Bassitov firing back to the body.
And that is the shot we were talking about. It's that overhand right. But to me, Bassitov should not be getting hit with that shot more than twice in a round. I mean, you've got to know it's coming. You know that's what your opponent's going to do. So what you'll see from Don is he's going to throw lots of smoke screens out there. He's going to throw lots of decoys and let you believe he's no longer going to invest in that overhand right before he throws it. Don's going to dip down to the body with jabs to the body. He's going to use his levels down low, and then he's going to throw those overhand rights. And there it is again. He throws the overhand right, disguising it behind a jab to the body. Bassitov, this is his third professional fight, and I think after a while he's got to learn that these fighters with pretty much a one big move, you've got to read them correctly. And there it is. But beautiful counters by Bassitov, but he's still getting hit by that overhand right.
Yeah, that overhand right was money for Don Parueang in the first round. Let's take you to some replays and then we'll get round number 2 underway.
So here we are with the action replays from round number 1. I mean, you see the nice distant management by Bassitov flicking out that jab. He knows if he can touch him with the jab, he's also susceptible to getting an overhand right to his chin as well. And look, Don Parueang, what he's doing is he's staying on the outside of his hands low. And the reason he's doing that, Ali, is because he's almost trying to bait Bassitov in to make mistakes. He wants Bassitov to step forward. And as soon as Bassitov steps forward, that's when he throws that overhand right. So I like what Don Parueang is actually doing here. I don't think he won that round unless you go by heavy shots landed. And we know, sometimes judges do favor these style of fighters. So to me, that was still a Timur Bassitov round. However, Don Parueang landed some beautiful overhand rights there. I would like to see Bassitov be told how to block and kind of counter away from these overhand rights.
Well, just peeking into the corner of Bassitov in between rounds, it looks like his coach was just saying to him, just run rings around at Don Parueang as much as you possibly can and see if you get more success of that. Try and find the right angles to sort of pick apart this power puncher, this brawler that is in Don Parueang. And here we are in round 2.
But it's interesting you say that, because I actually think if Bassitov just took the fight to him and stayed in the middle with him and just stayed on his chest, I actually think Bassitov would have an advantage. I don't think the style of Don Parueang is to fight on the inside. I think his style is medium range with that overhand right. So I would like to see Bassitov just take the fight to him as well.
And that looks like what Bassitov is doing at the moment. Exactly what you said, Jimmy. Taking the fight at medium range. Bit of a complaint there from Don Parueang about hitting the back of the head.
Well, James Turner used to talk about this quite a lot. There's 3 ranges to boxing. There's the long, the medium, and the short, and you've got to decide in the ring where you want to be for a lot of that fight, but you've also got to decide where your opponent is comfortable as well, and you bring them into their comfort zones, and then you take them out of it as well, and that's exactly what Bassitov needs to do here.
Jab here from Bassitov. Don Parueang, just like you said, Jimmy, trying to take a couple of punches to get on the inside and throw that overhand right.
Yeah, the classic Julio Cesar Chavez. He would take 5 to give 2 sometimes. He would take several shots, but his power was just enough to put his opponents out. If you don't have the power to take 2 to give 1, then you're going to have a short-lived career in boxing. So you've got to have that power to back up that style of boxing as well.
Bassitov again with a jab on it, the outside, feinting it twice, throwing it, not landing it.
But, that feint is just as effective as a real jab at this point. He's getting his opponent to read these jabs as well. But if you're in a situation like Don Parueang, who you're just following around, you're probably just going to stop reacting to those feints very soon as well. So, Bassitov needs to do something with those feints, but he's doing well right now, staying on the outside, pop shotting his opponent. This is exactly what he needs to, but he eats a left hook as well. And I don't think that was around the back of the head. I think that was clean.
But Don Parueang still apologising for it, though, and the action continues. Bit of a relaxed round this round compared to the first round. Don Parueang not having the same success that he had with his overhand rights. Really struggling to get in there. Just a little bit late on the counter right there with the left hook.
Well, you know what it's like, Ali. When you're missing shots, it's more tiring than landing the shot there. So I think because he was missing so many overhand rights, he's also trying to just gather his energy and come back a little bit stronger in maybe the later rounds. But Bassitov looks a little bit lethargic as well, and if you get too relaxed in there, all it takes is that one shot to put you down. So I'd like to see Bassitov be a bit more active with the jab, throw the feints in with the jab, and also turn those jabs into left hooks.
Clapper goes for 10 seconds in the round. Parueang on the ropes here. Bassitov just keeping him there very well, measuring his jab. And that's the bell for round 2. Replays coming to you shortly, and then we'll go into round 3. Such a relaxed round, but a good round, I think, for Bassitov, just trying to find his timing and his range. He was a bit too keen in the first round, for my liking at least, and that was a much better round for him to sort of manage the distance very well, and he did. It was, in my unofficial scorecard, it definitely was his round. See Parueang getting a left hook off twice there on the replay. And that's what Parueang needs to do, like Jimmy mentioned earlier, just take a couple of shots to sort of land those power punches on the inside.
I mean, I would like to point out, I never want to tell people to take punches to give one, but, you know, like Jake LaMotta used to do back in the day, the man who was known as, you know, one of the hardest men to kind of stop, was you can take shots without taking the full brunt of the shot. You've got to learn how to take the sting out of it, and I think that's exactly what Parueang needs to do. He needs to take the sting out of some shots and then give one back of his own and use momentum against him. But
touching on that, how do you take the sting out of the shot? What are you trying to get at there?
Well, you've got to roll with the shot. I mean, like, every shot that you're taking doesn't need to be taken in a hard way. So, for example, if you move forward into a shot, you're going to get hit harder. If you move away from the shot, you take the sting out of the punch as well. You also go meet the punch sometimes before it's got full speed and full leverage on it as well. So it's just one of those things that you learn later on in boxing. A lot of veteran boxers know how to do this. They roll and they take stings out of the punch. Big right hand there landed by Parueang.
Yeah, that was probably the best shot, best combination that he's landed in this fight so far. Good way to start the third round for him.
And I think that should wake up Bassitov a little bit. To me, he looked a little bit sleepy in that second round. Although I think he boxed well, I also think like he's just maybe taken a little bit too much time to really get himself going. You've got to get those jabs pumping out. And if you're not pumping the jab, at least feint them. Beautiful body work there by Bassitov, and then kind of gets himself out of danger as well.
Bassitov measuring here with the jab again. But this is where Parueang really needs to parry that jab and get in, and he does. Overhand right there from Parueang, much better from the Thai fighter.
But again, this is what we're talking about. We could see that overhand right coming. I think everybody knows it's coming. So Bassitov has got to be careful here. What he should be doing is pumping that jab out, but keeping it stiff. You can block an overhand right with a jab or a left hook as well. Use the old school method of blocking the right hand. Meet the shot whilst it's being thrown. But you should not be getting hit that clean with overhand right in round number 3 when this is the only shot the opponent's been throwing.
Bassitov again with a jab. Measuring again on the back foot. 2-punch combination there from Bassitov.
And that's exactly what Bassitov should be doing. Stepping back, but keeping his arms high as well. An overhand right fighter wants you to drop your guard as you step back. They want you to reset, and that's when they clip you. A good overhand fighter will always wait for you to reset when they throw it. And now we start to see Parueang mixing some left hooks upstairs and to the body. And there's that right hand we were talking about. Left hooks to the body, right hands upstairs. Great stuff from Parueang.
High guard here from Parueang as he comes forward. Overhand right there. 1-2 from Bassitov.
You can notice the footwork difference as well. Bassitov's very light on his feet. He's very much in and out, pivoting. Parueang walking very flat-footed. Now, although I don't think Parueang needs to go light on his feet, he needs to use foot feints as well to get those overhands sneaked in as well. You've got to dart left and right and try and get an opening with your footwork. Because, as you know, the shots start with the feet, and you need to get your feet in the correct position. I'd like to see Parueang be a little bit more darty with his footwork. Final moments of this round. And there we are, end of round number 3. We're going to get some action replays here. A great round for both of these fighters. I did really enjoy that round. Quite a close round indeed. And we see that right hand landing very early on, followed up by a left hook. And that was very early on where we were talking about taking the stings out of punches. Look at the way Parueang moves every time. He's not getting hit hard with these shots. He's moving with the shot at the last final moment. But that was a beautiful choppy right hand landed by Bassitov in that exchange. Steps back. pivots forward and lands a nice right hand down the middle. And here was that moment where we saw Parueang actually starting to move forward, close the gap, and he lands some left hooks as well. And this is what Parueang needs to do more of. Start mixing those left hooks in, because when you throw a left hook, naturally your opponent has to move away from your left hook. And when they're moving away from your left hook, which punch are they going to walk onto? That's your right hand. So if you keep feinting that left hand and keep throwing those left hooks, eventually you'll turn your opponent into your right hand.
Great analysis there from the man in the know, Mr. Jimmy Bout. And we go into round 4. We are set for 6 rounds if it goes the distance. Bassitov here starting the round off with a good jab, landing it 3 times in a row.
Beautiful jab right down the middle, right to the forehead of Parueang. Exactly what he needs to be doing. And he eats another overhand right in the process. This is what I'm talking about. Bassitov needs to just pump that jab out, but be very much fluid with it, like an amateur jab. Stay behind your shoulder when you throw the jab and then get back up with it as well. But to me, Bassitov has eaten way too many overhand rights in this fight, and he should not have taken this many so far.
Again, measuring with the jab in his own corner, though. This is a dangerous position for Bassitov. He needs to get out of there. Parueang just unloading, and as soon as he did, Bassitov wisely wrapping up in the clinch and pivoting into some more space in the ring.
Almost as if he could hear you. He did it perfectly there. Instead of taking the risk of an overhand right, he grabbed his opponent and got himself out of there. But this is where he needs to be. Land your combinations and get out there. It's all about the hit and grab. I think the referee might warn him about grabbing, because you can't just grab. You've got to clinch to an extent. He's got to disguise that grab into a bit more of a clinch, but a nice right hand down the middle.
Again, left hook there hits the gloves from Parueang, but Bassitov turns him there and unleashes with a quick combo. Very cheeky there from the Kazakhstanian fighter. Yeah,
we call that the fake break. It's basically you let them think that you're breaking, but you start cracking them on the break as well. You got to protect yourself at all times. A nice move by Bassitov.
Again, Bassitov always backing himself up onto the ropes and into the corner. I mean, it's worked for him so far in this fight. I mean, he's got the height advantage, but I think in the later on in this career, if he comes up against a fighter like that, like Parueang, is going to throw shots like that, put him in trouble, he will get unstuck very quickly.
And you've probably noticed now, Parueang doesn't have to do much to get on the inside of his opponent. He's just using that one-punch combination right now, which is the overhand right, and then mixing it in with the left hooks to the body. I mean, that's a very classic Parueang thing to do, and look who's in his corner as well, Parueang. And I think that's exactly why he's landing that perfect combination. Parueang won several fights with the exact same move. The left hook to the body, followed up by that right hand upstairs. The Parueang classic, and even won his BKFC championship belt with the exact combination against a really tall fighter.
Again, Parueang on the hunt here, trying to get the fight on the inside, have that fight in the phone booth. But Bassitov doing a really good job to control the distance with his jab, not putting a lot of power behind this punch so far. It's just for moments like that where he unleashes with some heavy counter strikes as Parueang comes in, eating 3 shots to land his own one, Jimmy.
I mean, I don't know if you noticed that, but Parueang did an absolute beautiful move there. He loaded up the overhand right to go upstairs and then just drilled it down the middle to the midsection of Bassitov. I didn't expect that, and if he's not expecting it, of course Bassitov's not. Ali, talk us through some of these replays.
Yeah, well, what a round it was for Bassitov. Up until that moment in the last round, like you pointed out, Parueang just shelling up like this, and then unwinding that a few times in the fight. Bassitov putting himself in some very tricky positions. If you wanted, if you ask me, just getting himself stuck on the ropes and in the corner when he doesn't need to. Really needs to keep on using the lateral movement, in my opinion. Just keep finding the free space. But it was a good round for him, though. Did a good job of just controlling it, measuring very well with the jab, and then countering when he needed to. Just like here, I think this exchange was just at the end of the round.
This was the moment where Bassitov did get stuck on the ropes and turn his opponent, but at the end of the round was that overhand right to the body. It was a beautiful move by Parueang.
Well, here we go. It's youth going up against experience at the moment. Bassitov, the young gun, in the red corner, and Dom Parueang, the veteran in the blue.
And as mentioned, if Bassitov just stays in the middle with Dom Parueang, he'll have a good fight with him. I think he's stronger on the inside than he believes. As long as you are aware of that overhand right coming, all you have to do is get your chin on the opposite shoulder of your opponent, and they can't throw that overhand right.
Break here. Referee telling off Bassitov real quick for holding too long. Bassitov going to the body now in this round. Haven't seen too many body shots from Bassitov.
And I think Bassitov is aware that he can fight a little bit on the inside, but he's got a tighter guard on the inside as well. Look at the way he's protecting his chin now. He's got a higher guard. He's a little bit tighter, but that overhand right is still getting through. It's landing all day. It's like a heat-seeking missile. It's landing well. And there it is once again, stumbling his opponent almost.
Push there from Bassitov.
And I'm sure Bassitov did not realize what he was getting himself into when he went up against an older, craftier fighter, which is Dom Parueang. He's got the moves, he knows how to survive, and that's exactly what we're seeing right now. He's a very tough partner.
Bassitov a lot more aggressive in this round. Right hand down the middle from the Kazakhstanian fighter.
And you can see Dom Parueang's backing up now. He's trying to bait Bassitov into him, and you know, to an extent Bassitov has taken the bait, but he's actually doing it very well. He's still keeping that jab pumping out. I like what Bassitov is doing right now. He's being aggressive, but he eats another right hand as well. I'm surprised he's standing from that many right hands, to be honest.
Yeah, so am I. Shows great resilience. Good right hand though lands for Bassitov. That went straight through the guard of Dom Parueang as he was unloading with his own shot.
I like what Bassitov is doing. I like that he's coming forward. I like that he's being more active and aggressive. He's believing in his combinations, and that's the main thing. Some great body shots landing as well. So Bassitov, to me, is doing what he needs to do. However, he is just taking a few too many shots than he needs to.
I mean, third fight on your professional career, on a professional record, is not too bad, though, for Bassitov, especially the way that he's boxed so far. We've seen him gradually up the pace in every single round, and this is probably the most aggressive round that he's been in. It's all about managing your gasoline tank, managing your engine in boxing, and I think Bassitov's done a really good job of that, Jimmy.
100%. I think he can go back and learn so much from this fight, but I like what he's done. He's upped the tempo when necessary. He's proving to himself and the people watching him that he can keep this up, basically. He wants to prove that his tempo can stay up and he can survive 6 rounds. Look at these action replays as well. He lands the combination. He goes downstairs. Even when he takes a shot, he either grabs or throws a combination right back. And there was that exchange on the inside where he went down low but ate an overhand right in the process. And here's that jab to overhand right by Dom Parueang. And it didn't land strong, but it is landing on Bassitov, and it's getting his attention. And all it needs is a bit of attention to stop Bassitov from doing what he wants to do. And there you see the rear uppercut landed by Bassitov. But again, Dom Parueang returns with his sledgehammer of a right hand every time. But the way Bassitov is throwing these body shots as he's backing away, to me, is a beautiful thing to do, because very rarely do you get somebody throwing body shots whilst in an upright position.
Yeah, like I said earlier on, very impressed with how Bassitov's been able to manage his work rate so far, and he has a fast start for the 6th and final round. Got to give credit to Dom Parueang, though. He's showed a huge heart, a lot of experience under his belt as well. A lot more compared to Bassitov. This is his 21st fight compared to Bassitov's 3rd.
Yeah, I mean, you can see the experience straight away. You can see how he knows how to roll, how he survives these fights, and how he's always got an equalizer shot to keep Bassitov on his toes. But of course, Bassitov, to me, has done a beautiful job of staying elusive and mixing things up, because in your early, in the early parts of your career, you need to try things out. You need to see what works, and you need to see, are you able to go the full distance at a good pace? And I think Bassitov is proving that to himself as well right now.
Yeah, he definitely is. Good straight punches down the middle here from Bassitov as we progress through the 6th and final round. This is the only round, if it does, that has gone. This is the only fight that's really gone to the judges' scorecards this afternoon here at Highland Boxing in Spaceplus.
I mean, I'm curious to how this fight is being judged, because I know with some judges, they do favor the style of Dom Parueang, the man who walks forward, the man who lands these big, heavy shots. And, you know, I've seen it several times before where someone like Bassitov's style does not get favored by the judges in professional boxing. They prefer to see somebody with damaging, powerful shots rather than someone who likes to land lots of peppering shots and lots of light shots. So to me, this fight is probably a lot closer than probably people imagine. But then again, I've been wrong on the judges' scorecards a few times, so we're going to see. But I'm curious, Ali, we're already halfway through the sixth and final round. How are you scoring it?
I think Bassitov's got the majority of the rounds. I haven't been scoring it very closely, but I think if you just look at every single round, Bassitov has been in it's just been firm control, and he hasn't been, you know, he's been put in dangerous positions, but not enough for Dom Parueang to steal the round at least, and to win the majority of the rounds, in my opinion, Jimmy.
I mean, I have to agree with you, because I do favor these styles. I favor the people who like to hit and not get hit, like to move and really dance around their opponents. I favor this, but often professional judges do not favor this style of boxing, so it will be very interesting to see. But credit where credit is due, but still, Bassitov has taken so many big shots in this fight. Never once has he stumbled. Never once has he shown his hand and actually shown he might be hurt. And credit, of course, to Dom Parueang. Always came forward. Hasn't really taken much of a back foot without an idea. He's always got a plan, and he's always loading up that right hand.
Yeah, but he's very one-dimensional, though. We've seen lots of different aspects of Bassitov's game. And here we are again, going on the back foot, trying to do a bit of baiting him in, and he does. Overhand, clubbing overhand right there, hits the side of the head of Bassitov as Dom Parueang comes forward. We've got 10 seconds left on the clock, and a good two-punch combination finishes the fight there for Bassitov. We go to the judges' scorecards, ladies and gentlemen. We'll get the replays for you first, and then we will get the final decision from Peter Denman. So we just see on the replays here how Bassitov just went downstairs. More so towards the end of the fight, end of it in the 5th and the 6th round. We saw a lot more body shots there from the young Kazakh. Just there, just going straight downstairs with that right hook to the body. Beautiful shot from him. Had a really good time just managing the range with his jab. Also inside the clinch, just sort of pivoting Dom Parueang off. But you've got to give it to Dom Parueang, though. I said it early on, what a huge heart that fighter has. We go to the final decision now from our MC, Peter Denman.
Ladies and gentlemen, the first judge scores it 54-60. And the last two judges scores it 55-59. And your winner by way of unanimous decision, fighting out of the red corner, Timur Bassitov.